Buenas and half a day. I'm Dr. Torregano, principal for West Point Middle School. Today for Principal's Tea, I have two guests with me. You are familiar with Ms. Renee Sharkey. She is the Professional Learning ISS for West Point Schools. And we also have another special guest, Ms. Shannon Faint, current ninth grader at James I. O'Neill High School. So welcome and good morning.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning.
Awesome. So today is a teacher's workday, which we love these days, right? We can get caught up on some of our work. And so we don't have any scholars, but I want to first of all say thank you for using your spring break time to come and talk to your former principal.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And you stopped by maybe earlier, no, a few weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, just to check in and say hi or whatever, which was really cool. But something you said really stood out to me, and which brings us to why you're here. When we were talking, you said, I would love to speak with current eighth graders to give them insight as to what the transition was like to high school. That is phenomenal. We had one of your former classmates, Lorelei, on, and she gave us some perspective. She talked about for scholars, for parents, and for educators about the transition. And so it was really insightful. And for me as the principal, what I can focus on when I'm talking to parents about the transition. So phenomenal. So, I mean, you got some pretty big shoes to fill in this discussion.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm going to be able to give a little bit more perspective just because Lorelei is lucky enough to go to a private school right now versus I'm in a public school and the school that a majority of our 8th grade scholars are going to be going to. So I think giving more ins and outs of that specific school is going to be a little bit more helpful and just an add-on.
Okay, an add-on. Let's talk about it. So let's just get right into it. So Ms. Sharkey and I are going to ask you some questions and kind of get a better understanding. So my first question is, when you left 8th grade?
Oh gosh.
Right? In terms of your perception, preparation for high school, where were your thoughts?
Okay. That's a good question. I think I was definitely very excited to start going into high school. I felt very grown up. I was very happy to be going to the school where my sister graduated from. I was happy to go with a solid chunk of my friends. Some of them moved away, but a lot of them stayed. And I do think I had a lot of nerves, mostly for keeping up with academics. That was my worry. Yeah.
Okay. And then, go ahead.
So transitioning to a public high school from West Point, what kind of things does James I. O'Neill do to support their military-connected students?
That's a really good question. It's such a melting pot with Fort Montgomery, Garrison, Highland Falls, and West Point all coming together. So I think giving that special attention to military children is something that they do very well despite that. And I'm very impressed by that. They just really cater to military perspective and they don't alienate them, because that's something I would be worried about, especially so my dad retired last May, so we had to move off post because we're not allowed to stay living on West Point. So it was an interesting perspective for me coming as a West Pointer and then being a townie. And then, but yeah, I think that West Pointers they're not higher or lower than anybody else, but they are, in my opinion, they're amazing, of course. And I think
we would agree.
Well, we know all military-connected students are so amazing.
They really are.
They are.
And I think it's great that the school is allowing them to contribute to sports and academics and everything, because we kill it in sports, let me just say.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Well, I know we have a few scholars that went to that are on the lacrosse team. I was like, bring home a win. And when they came back, we brought home the win.
Nice.
Nice.
That sounds like them.
Okay. So you know who I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So now, we worked on specific things to prepare scholars to be ready, right? Those AVID strategies, how to be organized, take notes.
Right.
Tell us how that impacted your success your ninth grade year.
Ooh, okay. I think I like taking notes. I know a lot of students don't, but I really do. I think it looks pretty. I think it keeps me organized. So all of the AVID workings and all of that really helped prepare me, especially like color coding, not only with like pens, but also in those little folders in your binder. I have 3 different binders for different subjects. Like I have my global and my English are together, and then my earth science is one, and then my Spanish is one. So they're all separated, they're all color coded, and I think without that I would be really lost personally, because I can't without organization.
That's kind of like a foundational student scholarly skill.
100%.
Okay. Now tell us about your 9th grade year, because you're coming up to the end of it. James I. O'Neill gets out in the middle of June?
Yes.
Okay. And so you're almost completed your freshman year.
I'm very excited.
Okay, so tell us about academically.
Academically.
Yes.
So,
Any challenges, any successes, any areas where you have clearly seen growth?
Ooh. In terms of growth, definitely English class. I have Mr. Luke, and he will push you very hard. Everybody's really nervous about him, but he's fine for me. He's tough, I think, is a good way to describe him. And then somewhere I've always been successful is history class, and personally I have Miss Gonzalez. She's incredible, and I think that she's continuing the journey that Miss Granger set me on, and Miss Prospery. I've really been struggling this year with science, not more so than bio, but earth science is a lot. And for those rising 9th graders who are going into chem, they just have to really keep at it. I know a lot of people are worried for chem and English. You just have to, like, if you're a procrastinator, you gotta stop that this summer. I'm sorry. You gotta get on that, because it's not gonna be helpful at all. It's gonna be a huge hindrance.
What do you think the big difference is between going from middle school to high school?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think academically it's a little bit tougher. Emotionally, you have to mature, and then just all around, it's just the whole thing is broader. It's bigger. It's so much more. Especially coming from this tiny school, Westwood Middle School is tiny, and James I. O'Neill also tiny, but not as.
We get that a lot, just so you know.
Yeah, because I had 53 people when I graduated 8th grade. 53 people in my class. That's insane. And now I have like 120 or something like that.
You know, that's one of the reasons why when I moved here, when I PCS'd here, I decided to stay in this area because I felt like James I. O'Neill modeled the Dodea High School that my son was used to.
Yeah.
So it's a smaller population. There was military connected students, and it was an easy transition, or an easier transition.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about it. So it is bigger, but it also kind of models the Dodea schools overseas with the smaller population in some areas.
Yeah, and I had a similar experience. We were considering retiring. Like I said, my dad retired. We were thinking like Cornwall, maybe Monroe if we got really desperate. It's just very different over there.
Those schools, the population is a lot larger.
Huge.
Huge, right? Isn't it like 1,500?
It's too many, and for me personally, and it was definitely not, like, I dance in Cornwall, I feel very connected there, but O'Neill is definitely my home. I moved here 10 years ago. I lived here for a total of like 7 or 8, and I grew up in this area. This is like where I'm connected, and I know that's not the experience for a lot of military children, but it is for me, because I got here, I was here until 4th grade, kindergarten and 4th grade, and then I moved away and came back because I just couldn't get enough.
And so schools that are larger like that, it works for some people. Some people like it better because then there might be more activities, more sports, more clubs, and they're able to do that.
Yeah.
But this smaller school and the close community, that's what I love about that. James I. O'Neill. Yeah.
Because I know
partner very well with them too.
Yeah.
The transition, the attention to detail that they provide with our 8th graders as they transition. I do believe we've completed 8th grade transitional meetings. The counselor actually comes over and sets up shop.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, right? And so there's continuing that one piece of support really stands out for families. It stands out for us in our counseling department and that solid relationship. So it's really good. So I appreciate all of the work that is it Mr. McIndoff, Miss Haberman and her team. I believe the counselor, the ninth grade counselor is Miss Milano. All of that really helps make it a smooth transition for scholars. I know you have a lot of stress on it, but that kind of eases the stress as you go into
100%.
high school,
Right.
right?
So you don't have to go in blind, like
Right.
unsure.
And I really appreciated the JROTC program because that's something that the Dodea schools have overseas, and it was such an easy transition for students that are PCSing from one high school to another and getting getting those programs that they had overseas in Dodea schools.
Continuing that.
They can just continue it. It was really nice.
Not losing that
Right.
progress.
Wow, you guys have such an interesting perspective because I was an administrator outside the gate, and I've only been at very large schools where the population is upward of 2,100 scholars. And it is a lot to manage, but there are different opportunities in that. So
Some students thrive and they love that of
Mm-hmm.
opportunity, but other students really need the small knit community.
100%.
Okay, cool. All right, so now we were kind of talking about different options. So how do you balance, because I do know that you are not just a scholar that's after a high school diploma. You're a scholar that's looking to be well-rounded as you think about your your secondary options and stuff like that. So how do you balance? Because you're focused on your academics, you got to keep those grades, right? Yeah. But you also have other activities that you're involved with. So talk to us a little bit about that.
My biggest thing I tell literally everybody I talk to, take a study hall. Please, for the love of God, take a study hall. And if you're like freaking out right now because when you talk to Miss Milano and shows your classes you didn't tell her to get a study hall, you're going to be fine. You probably have an open period, and if not, you can trade an elective for it, which is awful. I know it's terrible, but you're going to thank me later because my study hall saved my life. Because I did Nutcracker for dance. I'm a dancer. In the winter, and I had rehearsals like all the time. All my weekends were gone, sometimes during the week. And I just got all of my homework done in study hall. I can't remember the last time I like sat down at my desk at home and did like a true assignment because I just get it done at school now. And I have so much time.
Wow.
Take a study hall. And then, please, I'm begging.
That's a good advice.
And I was lucky enough to get Mr. Luke for my study hall. So, which is actually okay because sometimes I can't stay after school. We have an expanded day program, which is amazing. It's lovely. Sometimes I can't stay after school because I have like rehearsals right after. So I can just ask him questions in class, in study hall, sorry. Or if I have questions for another teacher, guess what I can do? I can go to that other teacher. Study halls are so smart. I love them. I'm like endorsing them. Vote study hall 2024.
Nice. You got my vote for sure. For sure.
Shannon Fade approves this message.
Oh.
Nice.
I might see politics in your future. Just saying. So, is that study hall similar to what we have or extended days, similar to what we have for Bulldog Success Academy and EXL? Or
yes, those correspond basically. So, like, think of EXL as study hall, and then expanded day as Bulldog Success. You said is that Bulldog Learning Academy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
A little rebranding happened.
There's a lot of changes, like not that many, but little subtle differences that I'm noticing. I love them. It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. Subtle differences.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really makes a difference for sure.
Okay. So you would, what I hear you say is that you endorse Bulldog Success Academy and EXL for our scholars
100%.
to truly learn how to use that tool, that intervention time, to be able to help set them up for what they may encounter in ninth grade.
Yeah, don't take it for granted. And I know bio students, I think, have lab time during EXL. If you take a study hall, you're going to realize how much time that you have. And then for those of you who are already in the normal science and then aren't taking a study hall, you're gonna realize you lost a lot of time. So it gives you perspective.
Okay, all right, so study hall, so for our 8th grade scholars who've already done transition, email Miss Milano Smith. Review what you signed up for a little bit. And for parents, that's good to know. That's good information to know as well, as they help their...
Keep them on track.
Yep, see? Because it's a partnership.
Yeah.
Right?
It's gotta be. You're not gonna succeed otherwise.
I say that often. I understand about giving young people space and opportunity for responsibility.
Right.
But stay close by.
You gotta help them out.
Right.
If I didn't have my sister or my parents or even just my friends, like my fellow peers, I wouldn't make it.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I love my parents.
Oh,
Shout out.
Aw.
oh, shout out to
Nice.
the parents. Okay, so you participate in dance. Any other school-based functions
I'm
or
not-
opportunities?
Really involved with the school, unfortunately.
Because you were here,
Yeah.
like everywhere.
Yeah. I find it a little bit silly that people who are in NJHS can't do NHS when they get to high school. You have to wait until you're like a junior. I think that's a little bit silly. But so I'm not involved with that, which I was here at the school. And then I am in a club. I'm in Zenden, which is amazing. It really helps me focus and just chill. But Miss Biana, who's my earth science teacher, she's amazing. Who runs it, she had to close down for like February, March because she's tutoring a student during the time. But that's kind of my extent. I'm
Okay.
just kind of chilling this year.
Well, you're very busy with
Well,
dance,
dance.
also, and want to make sure
Yeah, that's
get everything in.
that's
Yeah.
yeah. That takes up a lot of time.
Mhm.
If you're going to be the caliber of dancer that I know you desire to be. So for sure. Okay. I mean, I have a few more questions. If
Yeah, sure. I wanted to ask, do you know anything about the BOCES program?
Oh, BOCES. Okay. I'll kind of explain what it is to my extent of knowledge. Basically, for half of the day, either the morning half or the afternoon half, you go to another campus, and it's like you get to go learn. Most of them are like trade, I believe, and the website probably explains this much better than I can, but you go and you learn a trade, and then for the other half of the day, you go to school and you like actually learn like school stuff.
So that's not mandatory, it's just...
Not at all. It's I think it's only for upperclassmen, I'm not
Okay.
sure. And then it's definitely like you have to say you want to do it, and then yeah.
Well, that's great, because it gives students an opportunity to
It's choice.
to look
yeah.
into other areas that they might
Mhm.
be interested
It accelerates your career. It kind of boosts you more into the career aspect rather than like continuing your education through college.
Right, very nice.
It gives you that opportunity. The website, please.
Yeah,
look at the
there
website.
is. I know it's Orange County BOCES program.
It'll
so-
explain it much better than I
Right.
did.
Right,
Okay,
but that's
okay.
great that opportunity is there.
for our scholars,
Yeah.
because once you're a New Data scholar, you're always one of ours, right? So for our
Of course.
scholars that are moving up and have those opportunities in this area, I mean, truly amazing. Okay, so what I want to know
Mhm.
is you're talking. Let's say Sharky and I are 8th graders.
Okay.
Sharky, straight A student, like she got it going on. Me, not so much, right? What would you say to us getting ready for this transition?
Okay.
Remember, she's a good student.
Okay, definitely keep it up for sure. And the way you do that is you take a study hall, you go to expanded day, you ask teachers questions to teachers, you gotta pay attention in class. Like another thing, you're allowed to have your phone in school, which I know you're not allowed to have here.
Correct.
And-
no phones in school here. Correct.
Once
In
you
the off position in the locker.
and once you get that freedom, you're gonna like run with it. So just chill. Just pay attention in class. It's not worth it to be like on Snap. Like just don't. You got to keep up your grades for sure, doing all of those things, and just continue to be the awesome student you are, because that's really gonna help you for sure.
Thank you.
And then for you, ma'am, I would definitely go like same things. Like the way to keep up your grades is to get your grades up, if that makes sense. So everything that I told Miss Sharkey, and then if you need extra help, you gotta ask for it. Teachers will 100%, like, my teachers, I'm gonna brag on them, they're amazing, I love my teachers. They will do literally everything for you. They will, like, be so helpful for you if you just ask, because they don't know. They don't know if you need help if you don't ask, so you gotta ask.
Okay, I need to ask. So what I hear you saying is we need to ensure that when our scholars leave here, that those self-advocacy skills
They
are
feel
rock
safe
solid.
doing that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's important.
Yeah.
That's very, very important. People don't know if you don't ask, if you don't say it. So you gotta say it.
You gotta
And-
communicate.
Got to. And okay, so there are some different ways we can do this. So here we have the SNAP form, and one of the members of the MTSS team will reach out. Ms. Straka really takes that, so you can, that students needing assistance and praise. You can ask teachers during class, of course. You can email teachers, hang out teachers. So we have a variety of ways that you can ask if you don't feel like walking up and saying, Miss Sharkey, I need help with my lab, right?
Right.
You can, Miss Sharkey, I need help with my lab.
Exactly.
Right. So use those avenues. How often do you meet with your counselor? Just curious.
My counselor, I met with her 2 or 3 times this entire year.
Wow.
You couldn't, like, if you wanted to talk to her every day, though, you could.
Okay.
I just don't have the personal need. But if you needed to, or you wanted to, or you just thought she was cool and you want to say hi, 100%. You just,
and she is?
she's amazing. You just walk right in and you talk to her secretary, who is also amazing. Her name escapes me. I'm not sure, and so I apologize. But you talk to her. You're like, "Can I set up a meeting?" And she's like, "Sure. When's your free period?" And you're like, 7-8. And she's like, "Got you," and you're set.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really easy.
That's nice to know.
I think, and because I've been in secondary schools as a teacher and administrator, that level of independence to navigate the school community
Yeah.
is really, what's the word, heartwarming. That we trust our scholars to be able to do that and focus on the academics and be where they're supposed to be, using study hall, talking to administrators as needed, all of that. That high school community really is trying to set you up for that next step, whether it be college or career. So it's nice that you know these options and that you're able to access them freely.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, speaking about the community, you said that students are coming from West Point, Highland Falls, Fort Montgomery, and Garrison. So what kind of things do you see in place for them to bring them all together so they're all James I. O'Neill students and a school family?
Okay. That's a really good question. I think a big part of it is just like the natural mixture through classes. Like these 2 girls in my English class, one is from Garrison, shout out, and then one is from Highland Falls, and they're like best friends. Like they're inseparable, and they had never met each other before this year, and I think they only had like 3 classes together. And they're like, you could not pull them apart. They're together all the time. I see, like, every time I see one of them, the other is not far behind. And they're sweethearts. I love them. And so I think, like I said, that natural combination of students, and then there's just not, in my experience, a lot of like stigma between the areas. Like, there's definitely, I've talked to my friends about this, like, if you look at someone, you can, like, a lot of assumptions are made, unfortunately. Like, oh, I think this person is from Highland Falls, and then it's just, I don't know, but I think a big part of it is a lot of these friendly people from all 4 of the areas just coming together and then talking to other friendly people, and then it just spreads. It's really natural. I don't think the school really needs to do anything, if they are doing anything.
So think back to the first week of school. I know it was a long time ago. Yeah. So think back of how you felt walking in and knowing that you're going to see all these new people from different areas.
Yeah.
Like, what helped you become part of that community?
That's a good question. A little tiny part of it was my sister is like the biggest extrovert you'll ever meet.
Okay.
So she knew like literally everybody from the sophomore class, who were like freshmen last year, of course, up to the now seniors. So she knew everybody, so everybody knew me. that was a big part, actually. And then,
And maybe what did you do to make, because that's great that you had a
Yeah.
sibling in the school.
but not
and you
everybody
felt-
does.
Right, and you felt that connection right away because of that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you met her friends before,
Yeah.
so it was nice for you to walk in and instantly become part of that community. What kind of things maybe did you do or your other friends do to include some of the other students from the different areas?
Ooh, okay. In my science classes, I sat next to this guy, Sean. I think he's from Highland Falls, and we had never met before. But like, obviously, we were like immediate lab partners, so we talked and like that. It's like I said, it's very natural. In my Spanish class, next to me is one of my friends from West Point, but behind me is someone from Fort, and we talked, and then we became friends. And then in English is not a good example. There's like 2 outsiders. It's a lot of West Point people, and I have a tiny English class. There's like 11 people. Shout out to my English class. I love that class. Gosh.
Well, I guess we can compare it to PCSing, to
Yeah.
a new location.
You just
And
have to
yeah.
integrate.
Military connected students are just so familiar with that, and they got it. So
Yeah, y'all know how to do that.
right.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have to worry about our students. So if you're feeling nervous
Yeah.
about walking into a public school with students from other areas, don't worry about it. You've got this because you've been doing it your whole student career, during your education.
And it's even easier than regular PCSing because you have your friends with you in your grade, and then you have like
Oh,
my
yeah.
class, and then the juniors, rising juniors. So like you know all these people.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
You are just full of good information today. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What else? So we talked about the transition. We talked about student life and balance,
Mhm.
right? What do you do for fun?
Ideas.
So that's your fun? But
Yeah, that's not like associated with the school. I think go to sports like games, meets, all of that, please go.
Well, you need to go because, and I may misquote this number, but it took like a $19 million project to upgrade the facility, so it's
Something.
like
It's
state of the art.
beautiful.
Oh, it is beautiful.
Especially coming from here where, yeah, we do have the track down at Shea, and I loved having that for track season, but we don't really have anything else. We have Blacktop. And then you go and there's like suddenly 2 football fields and you're like, whoa.
I didn't. Okay. Now I'm not gonna call any particular scholar out. I'm about to listen. So I was invited to a football game.
Amazing.
And you were here. You know how my schedule is, right? It's nonstop. I'm booked from 6 until 6 for work stuff, right?
Yeah.
So this parent sends me the schedule, and I compare, and I pick the 3 opportunities that I can actually make it. 2 I couldn't because something came up at the school, but this last chance I was gonna make it. I did not care. I was gonna make it, and this is
Did
what
you know
happened.
the wrong field?
Oh my God! How was I supposed to know that there were 2 fields?
And the other one's in the back. You can't see it from the front.
So
It's-
I drive up and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, and I'm checking email and I can't get in to get the parent's number out of our system on my phone. And so I asked someone, and this, honest to God, random person, I pull up to the front of the, and I'm like, hey, it's a football game. This is what this person does. No, it's not. Looks over at the field, and I'm like, well, obviously I can look over and see that, right? But and I drive away, and I'm so confused. So the next day I find this scholar, and I was like, look, you messing up my schedule. And so immediately, because everyone knows I run a very tight schedule, I'm here, I'm there, and so he says, look, you went to the wrong field. And I'm like, how was I supposed to know that? Like, you owe me gas money. I don't know.
Did you hear it though? It's not that far. You didn't hear the crowd.
No.
We're kind of quiet, honestly.
Yeah?
There's
Oh
like
my
none of us.
goodness. Okay.
No, I
Unless
didn't.
it's like homecoming, which
Oh, okay.
I lost my voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really did. I know, and so, and then I think it was one of the last games
Yeah.
too,
Oh,
and
okay.
so I couldn't make it. But this time I know, and then I called a parent because the parent was actually the one that emailed me. So I was like, hey, so
You gotta let me know. Like,
yeah, like
Wow.
for real, give me the schedule because I want to come out and support. But
Yeah.
I need to know where I'm going. I thought I was going to, but I didn't know it was 2 fields. It's a practice field. And I should have known coming from secondary. Like I was at a high school. I should have known. Usually those fields are closer together though.
I know. They're like separated by the entire school.
Yeah, and I did. It's upper and lower, right? Because I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, the lower parking lot and then up by the school.
Yeah, it's like the field, the school, and then like the practice field.
Okay, see.
Yeah.
We have community council or something coming up where we have to go over, so you will.
Oh, I can show you, yeah.
Yes.
Because there's also a track back there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
For real?
It's amazing.
Yes, I will show you.
And like tennis courts,
beautiful
softball is back
facility.
there, I think. I don't know, I don't play sports.
Yeah, in the back.
And then baseball is in the front, I think. I could be wrong.
Wow.
I think
okay.
so. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we got to figure all of that out. Yes, next school year I'm going to know. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Okay. All right. So we're going to bring our discussion to a close, and we always talk about, because we're in Abbott School, so we talk about those post-secondary opportunities, right? And so you know where I went to school. I've shared it several hundred times, but we want to know, where are your sights set?
Okay, so for the longest time, I wanted to go to Harvard when I was like 7. And part of that was out of spite because my dad went to Yale and they're like rivals. So that was part of it. That was a little part of it, but I also thought it was cool. And my childhood idol was Elle Woods from Legally Blonde, and she went, so I have to. But that kind of sailed away a little bit. Just, it wasn't my thing anymore because I'm not really looking for that. But I do want to pursue a career in dance. So right now, the thought is to go to SUNY Purchase, which is like go over the river and a couple miles south.
So you're going to stay close
I want to stay
home.
locally. It does depend because my parents might move down south after I graduate from high school. It all depends. We're not really sure right now, but that's the thought at the moment.
Okay,
Yeah.
a professional dance.
Yeah.
Oh my
I went
That's
to SUNY
amazing.
Purchase last summer. I went to the AAB program, American Academy of Ballet. I was there for a week. And
Nice.
beautiful facilities. There's like 12 huge studios, a performance center. The dorms are gorgeous. Oh my gosh.
Wow, that's so nice
Yeah.
to hear.
It
I know the SUNY schools are really fantastic and they're
Insane.
very affordable.
Incredibly
It's
affordable.
amazing.
Okay, save your parents some money.
It seriously.
I advocate in-state schools, community colleges.
100%.
In my office, you'll see on my back wall, now I have 4 degrees, but I have the 3, and I put my 2-year degree, and my husband's like, take that one down. Don't they cancel each other out? But that's one that I'm really proud of,
Yeah.
because I completed my 2-year degree in 1 year
Mhm.
at what was known as Florida Community College at Jacksonville, trying to save money, stay local, and then I transferred to University of North Florida, and then I went to UOG, University of Guam, and I just completed at North Central University for my doctorate. So all of that matters, and so
Yeah.
I appreciate your maturity in thinking about the all aspects, because
Yeah.
truly once you leave high school, you're an adult. You know what I mean? Like you have to really think about all of that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have student debt forever.
No.
No, that's
No.
a big thing, and I actually did the same thing. I started at Bergen Community College in New Jersey, and then for me, I felt like I wasn't ready to go away,
Right.
and then I ended up going to the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, which was an amazing experience. And then,
Very funny stories.
you know, when you realize like, wow, look at all the student debt I'm going into, right? That's what I did one day. I sat down and I was like, whoa. And I can get the same degree that I'm going for here
Yeah.
at William Patterson University in Wayne, New Jersey, and then I would pay in-state tuition. So that's what I ended up doing, and then I went and got my master's in NAU in Flagstaff, Arizona. So when I was living there at the time, so
And that matters.
in-state.
That really matters, because
Yeah.
you really don't know where you'll be at. Maybe after your undergrad, you go somewhere else. One of the things that I actually thought that, all of my degrees would come from a Florida school. By the way, if you're retiring, Florida's great.
I was thinking that.
Tell your dad, St. Petersburg, Tampa area. I'm not biased, Jacksonville is great too, hometown. So I was thinking that I would go in-state. So two in-state, and then what I would call like internationally, being at Guam, and then an online university. Just
Sure.
the options and the variety that you get from those different experiences. Like truly, I was not an online fan. To be a complete program, I wanted to go to school and go online, have the balance. But oh man, it was phenomenal. The teachers, Dr. Maisie, my chair, and oh my God, just the availability, the access technology. And so you think about all of those things. So I as a parent, I appreciate seeing the maturity in your thought process with that.
Right.
It's so good.
And our Dodea schools, or I feel, we're really preparing students for that opportunity, because colleges now are in person and online, and you really need to be able to navigate that system and
both platforms.
Right,
100%.
both platforms, and we're doing a great job preparing students for that.
Prep has to start now.
Right, exactly.
Prep. I'm going to quote you.
Okay.
Prep has to start now. We have our 7th graders in the DVS program, and so they're getting that experience. A little productive struggle, but staying with it. And I know that in the past we've had scholars in some of the math classes with our DVS. Not many, but having that option with Dodea Virtual High School, that partnership has been amazing. Shout out to Dr. Marshall, Dr. Lund, Dr. Watson. I could go on and on with their team. Our 2 teachers that are supporting the DVS, Miss Ridlon and Miss Honore Rowe. Miss Honore Rowe. Yes. Shout out to you and the work that you're doing with our 7th grade scholars. So thank you so much. Man, you're there like, oh, it's great. Okay, so I'll bring us to a close. I'm Dr. Torregano. This is Shannon Faint, Renee Sharkey, and we are West Point Middle School, where partnerships maximize success.